Disney's The Marvels debuted over the weekend, with the lead up of the movie having people on the edge of their seats. No, not because everyone was excited for the movie, everyone was on the edge of their seats just to see how bad the movie was going to do. Several factors went into the chorus of apathy and desire to see a train wreck. The first and most obvious one, whether a fan or not, is superhero fatigue. Why might there be superhero fatigue? Taking out all the other superhero stuff such as DC Comics, the MCU, by itself, has had 33 movies, 21 different series spanning 39 seasons between Marvel Television and Marvel Studios, which are now one entity. A total of 455 episodes. Last time I tried to binge one show that was over 100 episodes, it took me a few months, and that was during the pandemic. The next reason for people waiting to see a train wreck was the early warning signs. First, this is important to mention for some financial context, The Marvels was the most expensive movie ever made if you took it on a dollar per minute graph. The movie was delayed 4 times and had 4 weeks of reshoots. Reshoots used to be considered a bad sign for movies until the MCU came around and convinced people that's a good thing. Even after the reshoots, the test screenings were bad, and they threw on a review embargo, not letting critics publish their opinions until 2 days before release. On top of all this, it is the MCU's most disliked trailer on YouTube. The final blow was the pre-sale tickets, with it doing about 69% as well as Guardians Volume 3, 72% Quantumania, and 42% The Eternals. You remember The Eternals, right guys? Guys? Anyway, the movie came out this weekend, and how did it do? Even with all these warning signs, even worse than anticipated. A measly $47 million. The worst debut in MCU history. Initial projections said between 75 and 80 million, but that shrank down to a measly 60 to 65 million. And they couldn't even hit that. The only 2 other films that have done lower than 60 million, 2008's The Incredible Hulk and 2015's Ant-Man. This doesn't take into account the lovely amount of inflation we've seen over the last 2 decades. Many reviews have not been too kind neither, including this classic title has been making the rounds on social media. The Marvels Review. The Marvel Cinematic Universe disappears up its own black hole. The arrival of a solid contender for the worst Marvel film yet will do little to dispel suggestions that this cinematic universe is disappearing up its own black hole. To say that The Marvels is hard to watch would be to risk understatement. It's not just that it's not very good, it's hard to watch in the sense that a tree is hard to defibrillate. This chaotic, ugly, incoherent picture barely seems intended for exhibition. The horrible purple CGI, the characters magically swapping locations, the long breaks for utterly fruitless exposition. Our brains are not sufficiently evolved, or perhaps they are too evolved, to make sense of this audiovisual chop suey. At the center of it all is Brie Larson as poor Captain Marvel. It has been just 4 years since her origin story made $1 billion. But already the character seems emblematic of a fading, increasingly decadent realm. A late Roman emperor sighing as vandals urinate in the forum. It doesn't help that the current story, hurriedly trimmed, is so haphazard. That's actually a thing I heard but I couldn't find any sources on, is that the movie was originally over 2 hours long, but they cut it down to its new length. She joins Monica, the daughter of her late pal, and Melanie, a mutant Captain Marvel fangirl, to intervene in some civil war on another planet. The events are confused by magic bands that allow wearers to leap across space. A scene in which kittens eat up space travelers to the strains of memory allows a rare moment of welcome surrender to absurdity, but for the most part, the picture makes no virtue of its incoherence. Pity Samuel L. Jackson. Back as Nick Fury, he now comes across as a dignified janitor in a permanently collapsing skyscraper. All involved deserve better. If it's not clear by now where my biases lie, I'm hoping this train wreck comes from a massive explosion, preferably one big enough to wipe out all of Hollywood. But even with this bias, I'm still not going to be celebrating its demise, because it's not over yet. I've got 2 recent major examples to show, as well as an overall pattern. The first one, Pixar's Elemental. This movie was the worst Pixar opening weekend ever, with a $200 million movie opening at just $29.6 million. That's an abysmal flop, right? No, it wasn't. Despite its terrible opening, it still went on to gross over $500 million worldwide. It might not be the biggest Pixar movie, but it more than made up for itself. Especially since the advertising budget for this thing must have been around $20 and a hand job. No one knew it existed. Before we go into the other major example and overall pattern, I have a very important question for everyone. Do you like tea? Wrong. The answer is yes. Let's try this again. Do you like what you're seeing on screen? How about now? You can discover why you were wrong and who that waifu was by visiting the Dragon's Treasure, a haven for anime and tea lovers. This isn't a random company. This is my company that I've been running since 2015, and one of my main goals have been to take people who think they are not tea drinkers and showing them otherwise. And the results have been amazing. You can check out our Mana Potion, which turns your liquid blue and tastes like a sweet blueberry cheesecake. Maybe strawberries are more your jam. Check out our Strawberry White. Maybe you're looking for something a bit more rough. And then, everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked, is a smoky tea that tastes like it was cooked over a campfire. Pyro Rum may be more your style for intense in-your-face flavor, or Aries' Final Gift for something a little bit more soft and subtle. Nature's Beauty for the Jasmine, Christmas in a cup for that holiday taste. Over 100 teas to choose from. Buy some for yourself, or for a gift for a friend or family member. Buy it, or I'll have to keep making these adverts longer. Anyway, back to the plot. The second major example, and if you skipped over my advertisement, how dare you? The second major example is The Little Mermaid. Many were sure it was going to flop due to the amount of backlash it was getting, but it still grossed almost $570 million at the box office. While not exactly the most successful, it was still in the top 10 movies in 2023, and most likely did not lose any money. The overall pattern is that a lot of the movies that are made by Disney, ones that a certain swath of the population, myself included, view as nothing more than soulish cash grabs that we hope crash and burn. But they almost never do. Beauty and the Beast made $1.2 billion at the box office. Aladdin made $1 billion. The Lion King made $1.6 billion. What a lot of people are calling the demise of Disney and Marvel is more so them just not being as unimaginably successful as they would in the past. Oh, woe is me, your movie only made tens of millions instead of hundreds of millions of dollars. I've seen the stock price and how it's been down 24% over the last 5 years. I've also seen how it's still up 300% over the last 15. The company may be a shallow husk of what it once was, but that has not stopped the money from rolling in, even if the rolling in is less than before. Let's keep in mind, for the Marvels, the movie was unable to be promoted like other movies because of the ongoing writer's strike. Once the propaganda pieces start rolling in, it is possible, sad as it may be, that the movie ends up doing better than anticipated by the end of it all. The hit pieces and how the dislike of the movies is based on sexism has already started. It's a tried and true tactic. It's why YouTube's rating system went from a 5-star system to a thumbs up and down system, and eventually to only a thumbs up system. It's why Rotten Tomatoes has changed its entire system of rankings display to have a category of all critics and top critics, as well as all audience and verified audience. They cannot hide, however, that the director of the movie had moved on to another project while the movie was still in post-production. They can't hide how amateurish their promotional posters looked, with many online roasting their designs. So it's still too early to gloat and celebrate. Speaking of companies that are shallow husks of what they once were, did you know I used to make videos that were not just clickbait and had some actual quality to them? Click on one of them on your screen now and see what those look like. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that notification bell. Oh god. Yep, I've stooped to this level. And go to my website and buy some tea.